So, friends, welcome to the first of the Search News Central SEO Hangouts. My name is Jim Hedger. I'm from Digital Always Media. I'm joined in the hosting chair by David Harry from Verve Development. And we've got Michelle Stinson Ross, working with Digital Always Media and Firestarter Media. She's joined for a few moments by the legendary Alan Bleiweiss in South Beach, Florida. From London, England, we have Dave Davies from Beanstalk SEO. He's at the Search Engine Strategies Conference in London. And from the great state of Texas, we have Dan Thies from SEO Brain Trust. And the topic of today's show is integrated SEO in 2013. What does search engine optimization mean today, given a myriad of changes that we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years? I want to start it out really quickly with getting, we have viewers from all experience levels, from very beginners, people who are just being introduced to the SEO industries, to senior SEOs like ourselves. So I want to start at the beginning, and I want to go with Dave Davies. Dave, can you just briefly, what is SEO?
Unmute, Dave.
Are you unmuted, Dave?
Yeah, Dave Davies may be muted.
Yeah, I think you might be check the little thing down at the right.
Let's shoot the question over to Dan Thies. Well, Dave unmutes himself.
There we go.
Better.
I got you, man.
All right,
Great.
so you jumped off the network, jumped back on. I mean, I'm sure there's people who's gonna disagree with me here, but I look at SEO from the standard, circa 1999, 2000. Jim, you know what I'm talking about here. Search engine optimization. So when I'm thinking of SEO, I think of the typical ranking sites organically: Google, Yahoo, Bing. I mean, back in 99, 2000, it was a much broader spectrum of engines. But what that entails, especially going forward, is a lot more complex than it was then. So we have to take a look at social media. We have to take a look at SEM and paid search. We have to take a look at reputation management and authority and authorship and things like that on a broader spectrum. But to me, when I'm thinking of SEO, I'm thinking of this broad spectrum with the sole focus of its impact on the organic rankings, as opposed to social media for its own value, or SEM for its own value, and that sort of thing. So when I'm thinking SEO, I'm thinking rankings, organically on the search engines.
Did he become a robot for anyone there?
Yeah, Dave.
I know the new Star Trek is out and everything, but
This does not compute.
Elsewhere.
I should mention to the audience, this is the very first Hangout we've ever done, and we're sort of testing Google Plus's limitations here, including bandwidth limitations going across the Atlantic into a hotel room and working off lousy hotel Wi-Fi. I want to shoot the question over to Michelle Stinson Ross and Alan Bleiweiss.
Hold on, Alan, yet another ad for Bing.
What?
Another ad for Bing, apparently.
Alan and Michelle, you've been at the Interactive Conference in South Beach, Florida, where a lot of the conversation has been, well, I understand a lot of the conversation has been, what is SEO in 2013? What kind of impressions do you guys have of how the industry's changed over the last few years, and more importantly, how SEOs are defining themselves now?
Oh, Alan, go first because you've got to go speak.
All right. Yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, oh, look at that. We're looking at somebody's closet. Okay, this is going well. All right.
There's Dave coming out of the closet.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, all right. So SEO over the years has evolved in that Google primarily, and obviously because they're the big fish, and Bing are continually working to refine the way they understand what's going on. And as far as I'm concerned, Google, Bing, whatever, SEO hasn't ever really changed. It's always been about specific signals and understanding of what's going on, whether it's topical focus, topical understanding, trust signals. And over the years, it just gets more and more refined. That's what's going on here. Every new way they factor in, what's real, what's not, what's trustworthy, what's not. It's just a building on of what's already there. But that's the process. And moving into 2013, the importance of social media, as they right now still struggle to get social media right in terms of how to identify what's valid there for SEO, that's going to make some major leaps in the next 12 months, specific to authority and specific to not just authority because you've got a Google Plus author profile, but authority based on sentiment, signals, and shareability of your content. Because the shareability factor is going to be, once they get the right tools in place to identify it, it's going to be one of the strongest signals for how popular content is. And as a result, that'll help a lot. But SEO is just a continually ever-evolving process built on the same fundamental factors.
For years, I'd say for the last 5 years, SEO has been synonymous with link building. Now, Dan, there's been a strong move away from link building, or at least from crappy link building in lieu of the Penguin updates. How's that change impacted many in the SEO sector?
Well, I think for the longest time we've looked at SEO as kind of a multi-stage process, right? You have a step where you're kind of doing some analysis, some diagnosis. Then you have some prescriptions, some interventions that you're going to do to try to change where things are and try to move it a particular way. And what's really been happening over the last few years, and not just Penguin, I think that was that and all of the blog networks and all that crap getting wiped out was a big alarm clock for a lot of people, but it's been going on longer than that. But a lot of the interventions that people used to be able to apply and see an immediate impact based on what they're doing, a lot of those interventions ceased to be effective. And last year is when we started to see the evidence of actually that some of these interventions start to have a negative impact, right? I mean, fact is, a lot of these blog networks and stuff like that were pretty close to useless before for anything that mattered, but they weren't exactly, pushing you off the boat for trying to use one. And last year people started getting pushed off the boat. So that's the big change. And
Are you saying that blog networks didn't send traffic? Come on, really? Wow. All right, you're gonna be like that about it.
I've read a lot of sales copy for blog networks, but I haven't actually used them extensively for my sites. Although there are apparently a lot of dead ones that are pointing at my sites now. Well, the fact is, what is SEO now? What can you do now? There are certain things that you'd want to do in terms of making, improvements in site structure, improvements in usability, things that you would do anyway, right? You'll discover a lot of things that just are wrong on a site when you go in.
Right, and back in the day, the answer to that was always throw some links at it. It was
right, exactly.
Just throw some links at it, we'll be fine.
If I just wanted to spam enough.
Yeah.
Well, actually, for me, back in the day means back in 1998, 1999. And in many ways, it feels like the practice of SEO is going back to the way it used to be, where we paid attention to the structure of a website, where we paid a lot of attention to the content on a website, where we paid attention to the configuration and the positioning of keywords on a site, where we paid a lot of attention to a title, and where usability and accessibility were serious concerns, and we didn't throw links at it.
Well, yeah, and now here, the problem that you have now is that, our SEO consulting practice is at this point 100% about doing remediation, cleanup, recovery, and absolutely 0% about get you ranked. And get you ranked is something we haven't tried to sell as an offer in a long time, because one, I think that's the wrong thing to sell. It's the wrong outcome to sell. And two, at this point, you're just as likely to drive your client to me in the end to clean it up as to be successful.
Dave Davies, do you get a lot of cleanup work from other SEO companies who are using older or Bolton methods?
I guess I'm going to have to say, and I'm sure Dan would give the same sort of answer, sadly, yes, but I guess I can't be too sad about it, because the answer is yes, I do get a lot of that business. Seems to be picking up more and more, just really over the last couple weeks especially, which is a little bit odd. We're expecting another Penguin update. I guess informally referred to as Penguin 4, but I guess according to Google, Penguin 2. Numbers 2 and 3 on the Penguin list were just sort of.
Yeah, well, I was the other Dave on Webcology today, there, Dave, and I was kind of joking the same thing, that when Penguin comes out, it's invariably going to send more work my way, because I do a lot of forensic kind of consulting. So, Google, I love you guys, man. Go for it.
Okay, there's an elephant. There's an elephant in the closet, and I'm not talking about Dave coming out of his hotel room closet. There's an elephant in the closet we're not talking about. It's fundamentally changed the way we look at search results. It's fundamentally changed the way Google looks at user signals, and that's social media. Michelle Stinson Ross from Digital Always Media and also Firestarter Media. I guess you wouldn't be called an SEO. I don't think you've ever really been in the SEO field, but you are one of the emerging voices in the social media field. Earlier, you said that SEOs need to make friends with, to make contact with social media marketers. Why?
Several reasons why. Obviously, Google and Bing, search in general, is putting a lot of weight, a lot of importance to social signals. Social signals provide trust, authority. They give search context as far as whether we really should be paying attention to this page versus that page, that sort of thing. So there's that direct link. Plus, the skill set required to really do great SEO, and I'm talking about code and that sort of thing, don't necessarily translate to good writing practices that actually engage users. So at some point, that your content not only has to be crawlable, but it has to be readable. Yeah, you need to make friends with people that can actually converse.
Given that, Dan or Dave, how's the advent of social media changed your practice as SEOs?
I can tell you, we've been looking at quote, link building as a social activity for a number of years now, as almost entirely a social activity. It's a relationship building activity. And the reason why is simple. The search engines are trying to figure out which ones are the real natural links from people, and you can't get real natural links from people without actually engaging with people and building relationships with people. And social, tools like Twitter and Facebook, Pinterest, and things like that, that was made for us to be able to make friends with people and make people like us.
Right, and that started in the evolution with comments. When we were doing the blog things and whatever 3-4 years ago,
right.
You had to engage with comments and you wanted to talk back, and that's how you built relationships or whatever. So as social came along, it became almost an extension to me.
Okay, but you remember what SEOs did with comments?
And SEOs are doing it. I know guys that like a year ago had 3,000 Twitter accounts. So yeah, they're trying it there too. But like Dan's saying, I think algorithmically at some point, you can start to discern an actual human being from a bot. You know what I mean? It's not as easy to fake social as it is to botify everything else.
Yeah, now that everybody's seen every different spun version of "I'm very much liking your blog, I be subscribing now," you know, those comments ain't getting by the moderator no more, guys.
The
Come up with a
bane
new
of the
game.
moderator's existence.
Right, and so what does a social graph bot look like? He's not engaging with real comments. He's not sharing. You know, he becomes predictable.
He's
Unfortunately,
not surfing the web. He's not doing all kinds of stuff that real users do.
you know, a bot is written around an algorithm. So I'm guessing an algorithm can spot another algorithm a lot easier than a human being who's a little more unpredictable.
Well, all those little social buttons, you know, the Twitter button, the Facebook button, the Google Plus button, all that stuff adds up, right? I mean, you're surfing around the web as a real user, and the bots don't do that. They're not seen around the web. It's very easy for if you own the social network to know which of your users are people and which ones are bots.
Sure. How again, like the guy who, you know, I knew that had 3,000 Twitter accounts for some of his activities. You know, is he going to be able to get like 3,000 cell phone numbers to verify 3,000, you know, Google Plus accounts or whatever? It becomes exponentially more expensive, and is there the revenue there for them to do it, you know?
One of the things that social media has caused in the SEO industry, at any rate, is we often talk about white hat, black hat, gray hat, whatever hat. Because of social media, SEOs are wearing a hell of a lot more hats today than they were a few years ago. It's like every search marketing shop has had to open a social media division or incorporate social media work as part of their optimization work. And Michelle, I think you're going to say that's a mistake.
Yes and no. Yes, in that if you aren't socially savvy, if I can say that, if what you post, what you tweet out, what you're creating doesn't resonate, kind of seems socially awkward, then maybe you don't want to be doing that. But at the same time, yes, it needs to be incorporated into what you're doing, but you may need to bring a team member on that really is savvy and kind of has that touch, that voice that makes social work. It's not that SEOs don't need to have their hands in social, it's that they need to have their hands in it the right way, if I can say it that way.
Okay. Dave or Dan, how would you react to that statement?
Absolutely. Most of the content that we have to produce now is conversation, and keywords have nothing to do with it. That's a whole different way of thinking for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I think we have to be, adopt a more advisory role, I guess, Jim. You know, we were just doing this, Michelle, on the last show, but it becomes we advise to the PR team, we advise to the social team, we advise to the content strategy people, we advise them. I'm sorry, SEOs, you're not everything so wonderful, and maybe other people actually know what they're doing. You got to trust the other departments to do what they're doing, and you advise on, we could, little tweak here, little tweak there, it'll help the SEO. As opposed to thinking that all roads lead to Rome with links.
Well, you can't put the SEOs in charge, and a lot of companies have had the SEOs in charge for a long time, right?
No, don't laugh. It's true. It's horrible.
Well, what I wanted to say was, coming from the side of it, I absolutely want the input of an SEO. When I'm writing a blog post or I'm looking at optimized information for video, whatever, absolutely, I want the input of the SEOs to let me know, okay, what is it we're trying to rank for? What is it we want people finding us for? Absolutely, every bit of that is educational, informative. It helps me do my job better if I know what the point of this website is, and the SEO knows.
Well, you hope they know. A lot of the time, the SEO person is really just a keyword anchor text manipulating specialist who now no longer has relevant skills, and they don't understand user experience, they don't understand content development, content strategy, they don't understand the conversation. They're still doing keyword research to find high volume keywords with low competition that convert really well. That hasn't existed since, well, before they invented KEI, but people still actually want to see KEI on keyword reports. Ask Word Tracker, they can't get rid of it.
Oh, you're kidding me. Still, I haven't heard KEI in a while. But You know, I almost joke lately, Dan, that I feel like telling my clients, you know, once upon a time we used to tell them put your URL on everything, you know, on your business cards, on everything you do, your ads and you know, your display ads in the papers, offline, everywhere, right? Put your URL. I'm almost opposite now. I'm thinking, don't put your URL anywhere because it's going to force them to Google to search your company name. And when you search something, it gives that entity data to Google, like, oh, this must be a popular brand. People are searching it a lot. You know?
Well, and that matters, you know, especially locally, right? I mean, you know, your service area is partly defined by where are people searching for your business by name, and so yeah, driving search on your brand name will also help you drive traffic in other ways. And I think also, right, it's you know, how many domain names do you see on business cards? How many domain names do you hear on the radio that there's no idea of how to spell the damn thing? But that's I don't even want to go there.
Dave Davies, earlier today on Facebook, you typed, "Am I the only SEO in the world who cares about keywords anymore?"
That seems unlikely.
Wow, you've been set up.
Yeah, it seemed to be a real recurring theme here at SNX London. The overarching over and over and over again, it was this: don't worry about your keywords, don't run ranking reports, don't care about any of this. That doesn't matter. And while the principle of that I think is sound, I think what people were trying to get at is that what we are trying to do as SEOs is drive quality traffic. We're trying to drive money, right? And, agreed. At the end of the day, what we care about is how much money am I making, how much money is my client making. Okay, fair argument.
Based upon keywords that came into the site from Google. So, you know, maybe you might want to still care, you know.
See, that's, and it's really especially at conferences. Like when we're having a conversation like this, I think it's more fair to make these statements because we all know what we're talking about. But when we're at a conference and we're talking to people who we don't know their knowledge base, we don't know how they're interpreting what we're talking about. To be saying something like, don't monitor your keywords, keywords don't matter, links aren't what you should be chasing. I mean, these are very, very dangerous statements to be making to a group of people that may not understand that, you know, yes, your keywords are important, but we mean on a more global level. You know, a two-position drop on one keyword isn't
dangerous, though, right, Dave?
Did you repeat that?
Well, making the opposite statements is just as dangerous or more dangerous. Like, you know, SEO is all about getting more links. Well, go type "get links" into Google. You're going to get ads for blog networks and crap like that. And they're going to get a penalty. So what are you supposed to tell people that don't know what they're doing? I tell them, don't do anything until you know what you're doing.
Attend more conferences. You know, yeah, read.
Oh, not that.
Read Dan Thies.
No.
Have we done a poor job explaining changes in the industry to clients, or has the industry changed too rapidly for us to, you know, to keep up with the changes and explain them?
I think it's an education thing. Again, you know, customer, you know, educating clients is a huge part of what we do, I think, at times. And unfortunately, you know, there's so many articles and so many this and so much going on out there that isn't telling the story that I don't think they know where they're at. I still see people all the time that come to us saying links, 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 links. So obviously, this, you know, the message hasn't gotten through. So,
well, it's not for lack of trying on Matt Cutts' part. David Harry, I was going to make a joke. I see all those cats floating around behind you. There's definitely a Matt Cat joke in there.
Yeah. Here you go. Here you go. Hold on. Oh, look at, for the people at home, something cute for the for the show. There you go. He's eating my finger now. There you go.
This Hangout has been officially made internet safe. There was a cat involved. Okay. Matt Cutts, the chief quality control czar at Google, has been putting out video after video after video, seemingly trying to explain SEO to, well, basically to his audience, who happen to be SEOs. Matt's done a great job in explaining where Google's coming from and giving, for want of a better term, weather reports. Earlier this week, he issued a 9-point predictive weather report. This is what he's saying. This is what SEOs have to be looking out for moving into 2013 and 2014. Matt's doing a really good job keeping up with us. Again, I'm going to suggest that David Harry, you have clients coming to you, Dan and Dave and myself, we all have clients coming saying links or, I want to join this big guest blog network.
Okay, let me give you an example. Last week a guy comes, he wants an audit, right? So I say, fine, are you doing anything for links? He says, yeah, I got that taken care of. There's someone doing the off-site SEO, he says. And I said, oh, where'd you get it? He said, well, he bought a guaranteed 6 months package off of eBay. Yeah, there's SEO on eBay apparently. And it was directories and all that.
He paid too much.
And it was the usual stuff, directory links, this and that. And I said, save yourself some money now and tell them to stop. I said, if they don't want to give you a refund, don't bother, because it's going to cost you more to undo what they've done in the future anyway. So just stop them now. So no, it still happens constantly out there. There's people, clients at least, that don't have a fucking clue. So.
Well, the problem is almost everything that they might try to do to rank, they can do a little bit of it, but as soon as they do too much, it actually starts to hurt. Whether that's stuffing keyword links inside of a site, we'll just write a million fake blog posts and link with our keywords to ourselves. Okay, well that's bad news too, guys. That's the problem right now is do it yourself is extremely hazardous, and most of the agencies that you can hire are incompetent morons. And I don't know how to fix what's really wrong there. I mean, you can't fix that people are going to find stuff on the internet that they don't understand and start doing stuff about it. Even if you've got a client that you think you've got educated, all it takes is one idiot intern in the marketing department to sign up for a blog network or something like that, and you're cleaning up a mess. Let me
ask a similar question a different way. Is SEO better understood by the general public today than it was 5 years ago?
Well, now they know that it's the Texas Hold'em guys spamming blogs. And
yeah, that's it. Okay. Like, how do you define better? Like, they better understand it possibly, but are they in tune with the latest changes? Are they, is the name not even being sullied to the point now that, no one dare? That's why we have inbound marketing, right, Dan?
Well, once they think we're all jerks, who fixes that? Inbound marketing. You trying to set me off?
Yeah, I was.
All right. Answer me this, guys, and somebody can help me with this. Why is the #1 primary activity of inbound marketers, based on what I read on their blogs, sending emails begging for links? Discuss.
Otherwise known as outreach. I've been using that quote of yours since last week. How is outreach inbound?
Well,
because it's easy to automate.
Sounds a little dirty, doesn't it?
How is link hunting SEO? That stuns me.
It indicates an absence of audience building and social, and really engaging with people. Because if you really get out and build an audience socially and share great things with them, they're going to link to you all by themselves, and it'll be in that small pool of links that the search engines actually trust still. So.
Well, Michelle Stinson Ross.
I'm over here cheering, yay!
And that did not go unnoticed. I can see all your video streams in my lower tray here, and I saw Michelle. You're just doing a little chair dance over there as Dan's talking about social media. So let me ask you, Michelle: are SEOs asking the right questions or doing the right moves around social media?
The SEOs that I come in contact with, and I have to say, you guys are top tier peeps. People like you, people like Dan, people like top industry people like Alan and Rand. And yes, from what I see, the top tier SEOs, they get it. The top tier SEOs are really the ones that.
I
think we just lost Michelle. Okay.
Well, now there's nobody intelligent on the call. Oh well.
I think we did too.
Let's do fart jokes.
Michelle's back again. This is one of the fun things about doing live video or live radio. This is just like live SEO. You're constantly running around without a safety net. Michelle's back. Michelle, I guess your Wi-Fi cut out for a second there.
wow, apparently Google doesn't want me to say this for some reason.
Yeah.
I've been there.
That's what it is. Hold on. Yeah. That's.
But anyway, a lot of the stuff that is being said at the conferences that I've been around over the last few months, like Andy Beal and Simon Hasseltine just this morning were saying, look, search is telling you guys over and over and over, you have to be a real brand. You know, you can't go link baiting. You can't just tweak the algorithm anymore. You actually have to be real. And so that's exactly what I'm cheering about when Dan says what he says, because you want links? Get people talking about you. They will link back to you.
Well, and link bait is an important part of, like bringing people in and stuff like that. But I think the thing that, so you got half the idea, right? Let's make something really cool that people are going to want to link to. Hopefully not a 50 million by 50 million pixel infographic. That seems to be the trend. But build something cool, something useful to people, and then tell people about it. Well, apparently inbound marketing is all about emailing people to tell them about it rather than building an audience so that you don't have to. I mean, a lot of the folks I work with, they put up new pieces of link bait and they get a call from Wired magazine editors saying, can we use this? That's what you want. That's inbound marketing for your link building.
And that is social. That is so social.
And it's because they've built an audience, because they've got somebody out there engaged in conversation, building the community. And everybody needs people that do that more than they need SEOs.
There you go.
Okay. So how, in that case, we have a group of people who, there's generations in the SEO community and in the digital marketing community. There's the first gens back in the late 90s, the second and the third gens from the early 2Ks, moving, out to the more recent additions to the practice, people who grew up in the link building universe. Now, these are, I'm not going to say they're good or bad SEOs. They just came into the practice at a time when link building was the main focus of the practice. I'd like to ask, how do these people transition from what now appears to be a really unhealthy habit or an unhealthy way of practicing into, into cultivating those communities, into cultivating those and making good use of those relationships?
I mean, I'm going to jump in here with an answer. I think it's all an issue of levels of bad. I mean, Jim, I know you'd probably lump yourself in the first generation there. I mean, that means you're going to, and I'd lump you in there too. That means you're going to be looking at keyword densities, and they've got to be at whatever 4.23%, because that was the density across a variety. And let's get those keyword tags. And
don't say I got to do that.
Okay, I'm referring to if we go back to 98, 99. This is the level of what we were looking at. So, the first and second and third generations, they had to be untrained in how they were viewing content in the same way as the fourth and fifth generations of SEOs need to be untrained in the way they're approaching links. And we've all had that throughout this process.
Yeah, those of us that were doing it before they had Google had to learn to adapt when Google showed up, because all of that awesome, just like make a million GeoCities pages and I'm #1 everywhere. Like, Google goes and bans my site for that. Like, what the hell? I didn't even ask you people to crawl my site. I didn't ask you people to start a search engine, bastards.
But at the end of the day, isn't it evolve or die? Isn't this, isn't this social Darwinism, or at least SEO Darwinism to some extent? That, again, I unfortunately, a lot of us probably saw this coming. All this, pandas and penguins and what have you, and it wasn't when you made those links, you were like, wow, this is too easy. This can't. It's like,
You hope you kept the keys, right, so you can take them down fast, because if you did that, it's easy.
Yeah.
My friend that actually owns a blog network, they were able to recover their consulting agency from a penalty in a month.
But if you were some sort of SEO that was doing, his formula, cookie cutter SEO, and you weren't adapting, I think it's just sorting that out, and it's just, SEO Darwinism happening at the moment. The weak and the sick are going to disappear because they're not fucking effective.
Don't forget the
anymore.
stupid, Dave.
Yes, I was thinking no one likes there might be a few of them listening or watching, so I just.
Dave,
We can't figure out how to use Hangouts. Come on. What are the chances that the stupid are making it onto this thing?
David Harry, I'm glad you you just used a phrase. Unfortunately, Dan Thies made me laugh, so I totally forget what you said. But I'm glad you said it. And I'm going to try to bring myself back on track. No, I've lost it. I'm sorry, it's gone.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
really too bad. It was a damn good question.
Wow, we were going somewhere.
Yeah, what's
sorry, SEO Darwinism help any? Does that get you anything? No, nothing.
No, afraid not.
The weak, the sick.
This is one of
the
one of the older SEOs. That's it. Nah, you know what, Dave Harry, I'm throwing this one to you. Your turn to ask a question.
You're making me work for my supper here. Okay, yeah. Well, I could go with Dan, and the whole, inbound marketing, but I guess we'll avoid it. All right, so let's get Michelle back in, because I guess the topic is integrated SEO, and we're starting to move into that ranting, rambling, and whining about the current state of SEO. So let's not, let's move beyond that. So where does social fit in, Deb? As far as, I think of things as far as citation, as far as people talking about you, as far as viral videos, as far as viral anything, really. You know what I mean? When I'm saying that SEOs need to evolve, I guess what I'm saying is if you don't have a creative bone in your body, if you're not able to create content that actually people might use, pass around, like, or whatever, what's the purpose? Do you think that that's forever changed the landscape,
My gut reaction is that, yes, this is changing because, for lack of a better term, Google is trying to get smarter. It's trying to be more intuitive. It's trying to better understand human beings in the way they interact with this technology. And you have to go back to the idea that what you're doing isn't so much for the bots, it isn't so much for the crawlers as it is for the human beings. I know I've gotten into several discussions already on, content, whether it's on site or whether it's a blog, that, it can be full of keywords, it can be really great and searchable, but when they land on that page and they actually start reading it and they go, ooh, goodbye, and bounce, then, what was the point? Yes, you have to be searchable, but you also have to be readable. You have to give people something to engage with. Guess what, folks? SEO just became human again.
And I guess to Dave or Michelle, you're both at conferences right now. It's the big buzzword. I guess social is probably pretty big where you guys are. Yes or no? And do you think people are getting it in the way they should? Meaning, Dave, I guess to you, in the sense that, are they getting that social is not about spamming things, that it's actually about engaging?
Yeah, that does seem to be really, really clear here, is that social is the mechanism to communicate with your target audience and not communicate at them, which is great. I know in my session this morning we were chatting about the fact that it's a great mechanism for link acquisition, right? That it can be used to communicate with the decision makers and the influencers in your industry and hopefully, prove you're an authority in the area and acquire links that way. And that it was a whole communication model around it, not just I'm just going to blurt a bunch of information out there and hope somebody in that dark net of Twitter manages to grab it at the right time, but that it actually has to be intelligent. It has to be me as a human being, and I have to be worth following or reading or liking. So yeah, that does seem to be really, really clear, which is, I think, a big leap forward to conversations I would have had a year or two ago.
Michelle, same thing. Yeah. How are they communicating the need for social? Is it being communicated as something to spam, or is it, to get as many as you want, or is it being communicated as an engagement tool? The end result being links and whatever. You know what I mean? That you're again attracting them instead of building them.
Right. Everything has been relationship and community. I mean, if there are advocates out there for building tribes, it's the people hitting up the conference circuit right now. Everything. Matter of fact, this topic in particular, the integration of search social content is really the hot thing that's being talked about all over the place. Social media, build a community, but you need to build a community with purpose. This isn't just to go out and tickle people and get likes, just like it was about to get links at some point. Likes and links. It's really not about either. It's about relationship. It's about human connection. And that is the theme that I hear over and over and over again. Whether I'm talking to an SEO, a community manager, a blogger, whoever, it's all about relationship.
Okay.
And on the same note, quickly, Jim, if I could, over to Dan, because I know he's got a different take on everything. You know, Dan, you and I have been trying to build communities and stuff for ages, right? So, you know, do you find, like, I find myself feeling this way. Do you ever get frustrated as far as, you know, like all of a sudden it's the new candy in town, and, you know, you've been doing it for ages. I've been doing it with the dojo and other stuff. And I mean, I even took the dojo to the point that, you know, if people aren't going to come by the site, I'm going to create Facebook groups that are private, and it comes part of membership, and wherever the people are, I'm going there. So, you know, You've been doing this forever. So, you know, do you get frustrated?
Yeah, I got over a long time the idea that I was actually the first person to think of anything, because I'm not. I'm just the first person I know that thought of it. And so the idea, you know, like, oh gosh, I thought of this before you did. You know, last summer I went out to MozCon. It was kind of like, you know, an anthropological kind of thing, really. But what was being presented at MozCon last year was a bunch of people gloating about how they got people penalties and how they were getting paid to clean up the penalties that they got for people. A bunch of people talking about how to manage clients.
Wow.
A bunch of people talking about how to talk to other webmasters and do link outreach. And a couple of people, in particular, Will Reynolds, talking about doing real shit. And Ian Lurie talking about just, you know, it's about the conversation. And a few other people.
See, two of my favorite people right there.
Last year was just, you know, it was a bunch of inbound marketers talking about outreach. What I expect to see this year is that they'll all have finally woken up and realized that social is not a product or a technology. Social is people. And links come from people, and SEO comes from people. And if you want to get any of this stuff to keep working for you in the future, you're going to have to learn how to talk to people, or figure out how to hire people that can talk to people and sit in the back and just read keyword reports if you want to. Because nobody really knows what you do anyway, so you don't have to work that hard.
One of the things that SEOs used to survive on were ranking reports. Back in the day, we had to submit bi-weekly or monthly ranking reports, and that was one of the ways we proved our service. Now,
I stopped doing that in 2001 and never regretted it, Jim.
Absolutely. I don't do ranking reports anymore either, Dan. But what I wanted to get at was the ranking reports or the traffic reports that I issue now. Those are quantifiable numbers. I can go to my client and say I did X, Y, and Z for you, and I managed to bring this much traffic across your website. In the social world, are you able to give those quantifiable, Loren Baker, in the social world, are you able to give those quantifiable results?
Oh, say hi to Loren at least. Come on.
Of course you can.
Loren,
Yeah, his big
what's
question,
up,
for God's sake.
Come on.
Simon.
What are you doing, Michelle?
Greg. Okay, wow, this is old home week, isn't it?
Here, I'm going to put them up for everyone to see. There we go. There's the whole gang. Loren Baker. Say hello, Loren. How you doing, buddy? There you go. That's it. And beer. Beer's flowing. I like these guys posing. There you go. The Wi-Fi.
More about integrated SEO. All that kind of stuff is.
Yeah, thank God for Penguin, right?
I think the Wi-Fi froze up. There you go.
At which point the Hangout degenerates into the Drunken Webmaster session.
That's it.
We've done this before, and we're pretty damn good at
the
it.
Webmaster Radio Day, right, Jim? Where's Darren?
That's it.
So I am locked.
I like it.
Yeah, you know what? Tell them the next drink is on Webmaster Radio, and Michelle will pay for it. How's that?
Who's gonna take care of me?
Do they need any more drinks?
Invoice us.
Okay, let's try to draw us back into.
All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, I was asking about quantifiable data. And one of the things that we used to be able to provide clients was easily quantifiable data. We brought you X number of visitors. We had you ranking first, second, or third in the top 10.
Right, but Jim, ranking was never a business result. And
Perhaps not,
we've
but
always sort of operated under this illusion that the source of traffic that we're driving is the sole creator of the conversion, right? We'll go claim, well, all these visits came from Google search, so we'll just say that all the sales that came from there are due to SEO.
Right,
I'm even going to claim your
because-
branded search results that came from the billboard.
That's right, but nobody starts thinking in terms of brand lift, meaning, you know, other channels of advertising and marketing could have brought them to the point of making that search in the first place.
Yeah, and if you start actually
the
trying to
question I'm
dive
trying
into
to complete,
attribution,
gentlemen.
it ain't that simple.
Okay, the question I'm trying to complete is, what are the important metrics to report back to clients today?
Well, I think, first of all, you've got to look at everything that is organic, which includes social, as being one thing. And measure within that bucket and put somebody in charge of that bucket and let them deal with managing the people farther down the chain. I don't think the SEO, if they're going to keep calling themselves an SEO, is anybody that deserves to be in charge of anything but whatever minimal thing they're still doing. I think that doesn't mean that person can't be in charge of a larger part, in charge of all of the organic marketing. But that's really what it is, right? There's an organic side and there's a paid side. And yes, those things interact, but fundamentally they're sort of different pursuits that need to be managed differently. And we've been for a long time looking at, we'll put all of the Twitter traffic, all the Facebook organic traffic, all that stuff together into one bucket with organic search, and we're trying to grow that. And tell me, did I grow that? Is that driving more sales or leads or whatever the heck you people want?
Okay.
Yeah, and even at SEO level, you're tracking keywords to actual conversions. If you haven't set that up in Google Analytics or whatever package you're using, you know what I mean, is anything you're doing increasing revenues?
Yeah, I mean, it's if you're out there as a consultant or an agency trying to figure out how to get clients, it's easier to sell money than to sell rankings, right?
No, though, unless you have a direct line to your client's bottom line, it's hard to report revenues you've gotten for them. It's easy to report conversions made through Google Analytics.
Again, you got
if they
event
want to
tracking.
be in business online, they better be tracking that somewhere.
Yeah, and you can still track anything. You know what I mean? I don't care if you got secondary conversions like newsletter signups. You know what I mean? Or if it's e-commerce and your primary are hooked up through, Google Analytics, you can track back each keyword and see which one's profiting and advise from there,
You can even tag your email leads with the lead source and all kinds of stuff. Depends on what you want to know.
We're moving into our last 10 minutes, and one word I've heard repeated over and over and over again in this Hangout is the word advise or advisor. I get the impression that I get the impression that's becoming a definitive word when referring to what we would have called search engine optimization specialists. Any of you care to expand on that idea?
I'm waiting. Nobody? Come on.
Okay, do you see yourself as a specialist or an advisor?
Again, I'll state it simply because I've held this point for a while now, which is simple. All the on-site stuff, all the technical aspects that always have been SEO still are. Beyond that, you're an advisory capacity to social teams, your advisory capacity to PR teams, your advisory capacity to the developers who are working on the site and changing, CMSs and whatever. Obviously, if whoever you're working doesn't have that, that's great. But when in doubt, Jim, you and I talked about this week. If I don't know social well enough, I'm going to call up Michelle and say, Michelle, come, here's a client of mine. Instead of being an arrogant prick, I'm going to hire someone, make less money, but I'm going to get the job done right because I brought in someone who knows how to do this.
Indeed.
Well, and as social and personal and all that stuff becomes a factor, I think, maybe 5 years ago you would have talked to, your social person or your link building person about what keywords I'm trying to rank for. And I think now it's what kind of people am I after? I'm after people that are worried about their lack of, retirement planning. Well, maybe I'm trying to rank for retirement planning, but it's about, the people. And building those relationships with those people, because those people that I have relationships with, that I'm socially connected with, when they search and they're clicking me, that's going to help me not just with them, obviously, but it's going to help me with everybody. And it gets the people that are talking about the things that I'm trying to rank about to be talking about me and linking to me. And
Well,
listening to me.
he Howe built an empire off of it. You know what I mean? Questions.
That and garbage.
Questions. Well, but you know what I mean? Questions that need answering. Sometimes your keywords shouldn't be, water heater, when it might be, creating content or videos or whatever that are how to fix a water heater, how to diagnose a water heater, or whatever. You know what I mean?
I learned
they
a
built
lot
an empire
the day that I
answering
actually
questions.
read all those articles on eHow about how to use toilet paper.
Yeah. Very important.
Don't forget how to drink a glass of water.
Well, if I could chime in here just a minute.
Please do.
For me, coming from the social side of this, honestly, I think moving forward that clients are going to be looking to hire teams. It's no longer about, well, hire an SEO to do this, hire a content writer to do that, hire a specialist here, and those people never talk to each other. You're going to be far better off to have a full-on digital marketing strategy that involves a team of specialists. It's no longer about just hiring this one guy here and that one guy.
Yeah, and again, but this goes back to the corporate level, because I've worked with a lot of fairly large corporations, and the really unique part about that, and for those out there that think that the internet used to be the leveler for small business and it isn't anymore, I can guarantee it's not, because you're nimbler. When we deal with those, Michelle, because they all ate from the same marketing budget, the PR team wasn't as apt to work with the SEO team, and the social team wasn't as apt to work with, because they're all actually competing for a chunk of the pie, and there was never one guy who's supposed to be the CMO that's managing all these people and having them to work together. And what I find in large corporations is the various arms of the digital marketing chain don't work together.
And quite a big reason why a lot of the people at the conferences here are talking about the breaking down of those silos. The internet does not work segmented like that.
Well, it's funny that the people that are in the least important silo, or at least not one of the top 5, are the ones that are trying to break down the silos. I mean, there haven't been silos between the people that work on testing and conversion and the people that work on paid traffic and the people that do email marketing and follow-up marketing. There haven't been silos between those people and the social marketing people. The only silo has been the SEO geek over there that's, well, I don't know what you're doing after you.
And
after
the
a week
social and the PR. Like I've
why are you here?
Dan, I've tried to deal with PR people at various corporations that I've consulted for, and it is pulling teeth, man. You know what I mean? You try to talk to them about, writing things that are, or promoting things, or doing things in a certain activity.
Yeah, speaking of people that need to get out of the way, the public relations, the legal, it's like, you're not fast enough to do social, guys.
Well, aren't they all on the second shift anyway?
Screw it up, and I'll try to be careful, but we can't pre-approve every message that goes out on Twitter.
Yeah, indeed, and that becomes a bit of a problem. So yeah, breaking those barriers between the various departments down will go a long way for anyone trying to get somewhere. At least at the speed of the internet.
I kind of want to hear Michelle's thoughts on the approach that companies like Rackspace have taken to kind of get around that. So Rackspace has Robert Scoble, who the man is not useful in any way, in any capacity, actually at Rackspace. Okay, he's not fixing servers or anything, but they've kind of got him out there as that social personality, and they don't have to edit him because he kind of represents Rackspace, but nobody thinks that when Scoble says something stupid or crazy that he's saying it on behalf of Rackspace. How much of a role do you think, kind of the social persona, that's sort of like the rogue employee that you have on your team, how much of a role do you think that can play in helping to build an audience? Because Scoble does make and keep kind of a lot of the stuff that's important to Rackspace relevant, and he can put that stuff that's really important and relevant to the whole tech community out there from Rackspace very quickly. But most of the time, he's just, taking pictures of himself in the shower. God. That was as bad as two girls in a cup.
He couldn't look down.
Persona is a huge portion of branding. I think that social has kind of made us rethink what branding's really all about. Branding isn't just about a logo or a catchphrase anymore. branding anymore is a lot more about the human side of who we are. I mean, honestly, I feel like social media has done a lot to take advertising, marketing, that kind of stuff back to the good old days when we did care about what people thought of us and how they viewed us. Persona is going to be important. And for better or for worse, at least with Scoble, they figured out how to make that work.
We're going into our last few minutes of this hangout, or at least the last few scheduled minutes. So, it's time to do a little bit of future think. We've talked about, roles that SEOs are playing in 2013, but the one thing that's punctuated our industry since day one is change. So, looking forward to 2014, what do you see coming down the pipe that we know today that are going to change the way we do stuff in the next few months or even into the next year?
Isn't it already here?
Okay, so what's here tomorrow?
Yeah, I think that's almost it. Is it's not so much future thinking as accepting what has happened. It's almost already here, and everyone's in denial about what's going on.
Well, for the sake of this conversation, let's assume that the five of us have accepted change. And we've been talking about a great deal of change, a great deal of change of how we practice, how SEOs are not the end-all be-all that we used to think we were, how we're part of a greater team, and how, in many ways we're acting as advisors. Is that going to be a continuing role, or will that evolve in a significant way over the next year?
From my geeky world, I'll put this and let everyone else do their part. But from where I am, as more of a geeky on-site kind of guy, I think, again, this whole penguin movement and whatever unnatural links message is driving SEOs to become more of what we should have been all along, technically on-site and those elements. Even forget all the advisory stuff. Get back to what makes a site crawlable. Get back to, looking at your errors in webmaster tools. Get back to streamlined architecture and things of those nature that, again, everyone gave up because you just had to throw a few links at it, So
I don't have to talk them into fixing their site structure because I can just bomb the damn thing with links. Well, if that goes away, then there's still a lot of things that need to be done on the site that probably didn't get done.
Exactly, and that's what I think, at least if I'm going to predict, that's something that I think will have a second coming, I guess.
But I think also, for anybody that thinks of themselves right now as an SEO professional, and if you don't relish that kind of technician role, now is the time to run to something else and learn how to handle paid traffic and learn how to do things like Facebook advertising while it's still easy to get an ROI.
Excellent. And Dan, I wish we had time. The stuff you were saying last week about Facebook advertising, I wish we had time to touch it this week. We'll have to get that in another hangout or maybe on a webcology show. Dave Davies, last words are going to go to you.
Yeah, I'm going to go with if I have to look to the future, but I think Dave Harry had pointed out, and I think he's totally right. We're seeing it now. Is the move is definitely towards trust and authority. I mean, that's just really clear. Attaching me to my website, attaching my website to strength, attaching me to a certain authority, and going from there. And I think if anything over the last couple of years, I've learned not to try and predict that far ahead. I mean, only because we've seen changes over the last 2 years that I wouldn't have predicted, and so I try as much as I can to not and just watch very, very closely and listen to intelligent people like the one I'm having the pleasure of chatting with right now.
Okay, so we will not be seeing a 2014 predictions in December on the Beanstalk blog.
Oh, I'm going to be called a liar. I know it.
Okay, Dan Thies from SEO Brain Trust. Dave
You want to
Davies.
run it a little late? Go ahead, Jim. I think you know what I mean. You want to run in a couple of other questions. This is our first one. We'll give you an extra 10.
Give me an extra 10.
No. Let's go to
straight.
No. Let's promote. Yeah, I know. I was with you. Let's let some of our drop-in guests. Anyone got something to throw on the table or what?
Absolutely.
We have Wissam,
absolutely
Dan. We have Wissam, Dan here. Wissam, how's it going? Say hello to the folks.
Good. How are you all?
Good, thanks. And of course, Doc Sheldon.
Hey everybody, good to see you.
Hey.
No, So you guys, let me go with Doc first. For everyone watching, I keep saying listening, Jim? For everyone watching, Doc's primarily in the copywriting business, and Wissam I would call probably a technical geek. So,
my tail is wagging the dog now because I'm actually doing more SEO than I am copywriting these days, and what I'm seeing is basically what everybody else is saying. I think it's going more relationship based. The thing that I probably would predict to be a much heavier player in the next year, we're going to see authority be recognized as a factor, and I'm not going to call it a ranking factor. I think it probably will be, but I have a problem with that term. I think we're going to see authority coming into play as a strong player. And
how about entity? Let's go with entity then. How's that?
Well, but I'm going to use authority, Dave, because I think that all entities are going to be able to accrue and convey authority to each other.
Can I ask Michelle and Dave? Are you guys hearing much about the authorship buzzword?
Oh my lord! Yes.
Oh god! Oh god!
Thoughts about authorship, and basically everybody's saying, "Get it done, get it done, get it done, get it done, get it done." You're wasting your time if you aren't getting it done right now.
Yeah.
Yep. That about covers it. Yep.
Yeah, but that's a different thing. I mean, that's.
Well, if we can't obsess about page rank anymore, I guess we can pretend that we understand author rank and rank and whatever.
Dan, what you'll love the most is that author rank is actually a Yahoo terminology that Google never actually coined that one. So,
yeah.
It's beautiful. Here we go again. This is trust rank all over. For the folks watching, trust rank was actually a Yahoo concept, was never coined by Google. So,
although I would say give Google a few months and they'll find a way to use it.
But yeah, this
whole Apple another year and they'll put an I in front of it and trademark it.
That's true.
So yeah, I think the authorship thing's way out of hand. That's why I brought it, mentioned it. So I guess Dave, same thing there. The authorship, author rank conversation is huge, or what?
But yeah, it really is. It's quite a prominent area here, and rightfully so. I don't think there's many factors that I can think of in my history as an SEO where I've actually heard Google come out and say, do this because it'll make you rank better. Like there's very few specific.
Okay. So better question is anybody making the differentiation that when Google says that, they mean by logged in people who are actually following you, you will rank in personalized results. It's not organic. Which is the funny part. You got to watch Google when they say, yeah, it'll help your rankings, but what they might not be telling you is that's only for people that are logged into Google.
Well, it'll make it look a hell of a lot better when you go check. They're looking at a rank check, and they need you to know about it anyway.
That brings up an interesting question, though, given that there is so much personalization and search result sets are very much affected by the individual's behavior. What is organic ranking?
Yes.
I don't think it exists anymore, really, to be honest. Between geolocalization, personalization, from search history and query tasks, meaning that they'll actually adapt them on the fly. Meaning, if I search Toronto and then the next couple of searches I search, escorts, I'm gonna all of a sudden start seeing Toronto escort stuff. So you take that personalization, you mix that with geo-personalization, you mix that with the social results, then there is no such thing as a straight SERP anymore, and I'm pretty sure that's what killed ranking reports anyways.
Well, it's been a moving target and kind of a quantum cloud of probabilities for years anyway. It's just, right, some of this other stuff starts to put that in your face and make it obvious that when I log in, I see all these pictures, and the search result is obviously different than when I log out.
I just learned something interesting about Google Hangouts. I'm the Dojo chat room over on Skype reports that the viewers see about a 5-minute delay.
No.
I think that's very interesting.
What happened, actually, is that when they made the change, see, before last week, when you joined a Google Hangout, it would be live in progress. And what they went and did was make it so that whenever the heck they show up on the page and hit play, it starts from the beginning. So it kind of screws you for live comments.
Okay,
Live questions and what have you. So.
Wow. So people will be asking random things about stuff that happened an hour ago if they just tuned in. That's so cool. I'm glad we're not using that feature.
Yep. Well, Sam, you finding that more people are after technical side things lately? Like, do you find that what you seem to be more known for, are you finding that there's an uptick in business or an uptick in interest in what you're doing?
Well, I mean,
I know every time I have a question about HT access, I just chase it.
No, but most of it is basically right now with the pool of my clients is everything. I mean, I'm dealing with clients in the Middle East that basically they don't believe in anything that's open source, Drupal, WordPress, so they create their own content management system from scratch, and they believe that as the way to go, and by have their own content management system, now we were differentiating from other other websites. So it's basically it's like you go over stuff that you never actually went over it before. It's because you think, with WordPress or even Drupal, the basics are basically being done from URL structures, from taxonomies and everything. But handling new sites that have everything messed up and the logic and the code is different.
I got to interrupt. Oh, well, we were going to say goodbye to Michelle, but her battery ran out before we could. Oh, I see Dan's found the stuff.
So with Sam, you're seriously earning your money. Like we go to Yoast and we're like, hey Yoast, give us this plugin.
Yeah.
But you can't do that.
No, at all. I mean, you have for each. I mean, sometimes we drop the whole project due to the development time allocated to build something like that. I mean, right now we're working with certain client that we can't achieve. Certain with a task because it will require development time that they don't have. The SEO department doesn't have it.
Yeah, indeed.
Because it's either working with the email or with other entities in that big company. So it's a hassle. So as much as I can, I try to push people to, okay, if you need that thing, you need to work with WordPress. It makes 80-70% of the work done, and everything we can do it. I can do it.
Guys, we think we have a client education problem on this side of the pond, eh?
Yeah, it's probably exponentially worse than other corners, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, working with a bunch of companies or webmasters who don't trust open source for whatever reason, and I'm sure they have their reasons for not being comfortable with that, but I'm just like, wow.
It's something like it's certain like trust and prestige, like, okay, we're not using WordPress like anybody else. We have our own. And we have our own dev team, and we have our own, everything. So it's like kind of differentiate, because everything over there I'm dealing right now is like 80% startup companies, and when they have certain technologies that they're building, it's trying to make their own portfolio have a more value in a way. We're not using open source, we're using something custom built, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I would expect that would be a big one over there.
Oh yeah.
Well, Jim, Michelle had to run, her battery died, and Dave, we don't know, his Wi-Fi might have dropped out, so I guess we'll call it a day. What do you think, sir?
I think that's probably a good idea. I'm exhausted myself, but I want to say, Dan Thies from SEO Brain Trust, Davies and Absentia from Beanstalk SEO, David Harry from Verve Development. I'm Jim Hedger from Digital Always Media.
Hey, Michelle Stinson Ross from Firestarter Social.
Yep, and also, you know what? I really want to send a shout out to Debbie Horowitz.
Oh, big time, yeah.
Sparkle and Shine Agency. He wasn't able to join us, but Debbie did a great deal of work in helping us get this hangout together and helping us do pre-production work. And heartfelt thank you to Debbie Horowitz.
She's been our slave master to get us in line to even get as far as we have today, so we thank her greatly.
Yeah, anyone interested in doing your own hangouts, you want to talk to Debbie Horowitz. She will make it much easier for you. So again, on behalf of Dave Harry from Verve Developments and all of the guests that we had, thank you all so much. This is Jim Hedger from Digital Always Media. The Search News Central Hangouts will be happening on a very regular basis. We just don't know when. We just don't know when next time.
Tune into the website to find out more.
Yeah, you know what? The best way to find out, go to searchnewscentral.com, which you ought to be doing every day.
And then
anyway.
just hit refresh every 30 seconds until there's another.
That's it exactly. Okay, folks, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Cheers.